Unstable? Nice. La da 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 da. Guys, hello everyone. It's the 25th time and it's the last time. La da 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 da. I'm so sad. Hi Juan Carlos. Hi Alba. Hi Nadine. The family. But I said it in the YouTube live speeches like in Microsoft in Berlin and other clients. And this is interactive as usual. This is based on, hi, Laszlo, John Napot. Yeah, now you can speak with John Hungarian, Laszlo, for the rest of these 103 minutes. This is an experiment. I've never done it. I've never done it through the screen with you, but let's do it. I thought about it. Am I giving away all my knowledge? And then I thought, bah, I've been doing that for the last 24 days. It doesn't matter. Guys, 15 steps to becoming an even more charismatic speaker and communicator. And it all goes back to my beginnings. To this little book, 114 pages, the 7-minute star, Become a Great Speaker in 15 Simple Steps. It's a quick read, 70-minute read. Normally, if you could fly on an airplane. And in that book, I described these 15 steps. And that's the weird thing about these 15 steps. This book I wrote in 2010. Now it's 70 minutes if I read it. Now if I give the keynote, I could easily go to 2.5 hours. This is what happens with experience. But the steps, they have never changed. Hey James, how's it going? You have the book, great. Juan, great. Well, you will see the order has changed a little bit in the meantime, Juan. But in the end, it's the same steps. Hi, Richa from Cyprus. These 15 steps we walk together today. It starts left down here with the first step and ends with step number 15 in the upper right corner. And it all starts with the S. The first 2 steps are basic steps for you as a speaker and communicator, for me. And the first step, the S, has to do something with this guy. What does, question into the chat, what does he have? Apart from an omega, which I don't worry now, the last rudiment of my marriage. What does he have? What does James Bond have? Tell me in the chat, what does he have? And I'm not going to sing, John. What does he have? Oh, I sang again. What does James Bond has? What does James Bond have? Charisma. Yeah, and of course the tags, and of course the bow tie, and of course the car and everything. But charisma, it's personality. And in who does he believe? In who does he believe? Yeah, John, that as well, a Bond girl. I once met Halle Berry at a wedding in Baja California, and she's really charismatic. Good Bond girl, the best probably. John, in your age, you would say Ursula Andress, I know, but no. In who does he believe? In himself. The first step, number step to becoming a great speaker, great communicator is, of course, self-confidence. If you don't believe in yourself, who will believe you? And for me, it all started very different. We're going back now at the age of 18. And I'm going to read now to you out of my new book, 102 Visual Tips, now available on Amazon and Google Play as an ebook, but I do not do any advertising here. So let me go to the book and read you a part of this book. It all goes back to when I was 18 years old. I was 18 years old, as every year in Weidach, my Bavarian home village, the local carnival club had organized their 2 shows. My mom, an enthusiastic and veteran performer at the carnival, planned to include both my older brother Martin and me in her show. The plan was that just as my mom was walking toward the stage, Martin was supposed to run past her, then run away. I was supposed to jump to my feet and yell, "A thief! A thief! Stop him!" All was going smoothly until it was my turn. I sat there in midst of the audience. I sat there like a stone. I didn't move. I didn't jump up to my feet. I didn't yell. I chickened out. My mom had trusted me, and I disappointed her. The enemy inside me had done a great job. In the run-up to my heroic intervention, which turned out to be an embarrassing defeat, it had been talking to me for more than 20 minutes nonstop. What will the people think of you? You look ridiculous. Nobody will hear you. Stay seated. You'll be better off. Nonstop. I couldn't shut it up. I tried hard, but it was impossible. No wonder that enemy was inside my head. That enemy was my own inner voice. Your inner voice is your most profound opponent. It's a cheater and a liar and a swindler, and it's loud and mighty. It's grown strong over millions of years. Your inner voice tells you round the clock what you cannot do, what you're not supposed to say. It tells you that you're ridiculous, that you will fail miserably when you approach that good-looking person at the bar. In public speaking, it is your inner voice that causes you to panic on stage. Stage fright. What a dreadful feeling. Stage fright. And the vaccine, these days with the coronavirus, we talk a lot about a vaccine. The vaccine for your stage fright is self-confidence. Now, when you get into this game of speaking more with the time, and here's John, my partner of the Rhetorical game. I don't even have to show you the physical version. John is in the chat. When you grow older on stage, and I'm now 15 years a passionate speaker, there comes a second element that helps you with this, because you think about the audience and not about yourself. When you do that shift, automatically you feel more comfortable. But at the beginning, I remember my vaccine for stage fright was self-confidence. And there are 3 things here to gain it, to have in mind in my opinion. First one is, I learned through feedback. At toastmasters.org. Those of you, hey, Connor, great to have you here. Well, I remembered all the feedback sessions. I know that it's a bell curve, and I always repeat the same bell curve, but it's true. I learned with all the feedback that I received in 15 years, 2.28% here on this negative side. They will always think you're an idiot. This guy takes drugs. They're always there, the haters. And then you have the other side, the lovers. You're a genius. So that I learned. This bell curve concept helps me to have more self-confidence. To have more self-confidence on stage, step number 1. But where can you learn it? I've coached 2 politicians. I always said I will never coach politicians because I think they're not authentic. They don't say what they really believe in. They sometimes have to be fake. Well, one is now in the German parliament, and the other one just won my local, he's mayor of my village. So I coach 2. I have success rate of 100%. But politicians speak a lot. And I always was astonished to hear that many of these politicians, they don't have a coach. It's amazing. They don't have speaking coaches. But when you practice and practice and practice, and here's Connor, he just arrived, you always say, switch on the camera and speak 3 minutes a day to your camera. With practice, you get better in communication. I agree. But it's slow growth. If you want to have a fast track to growing, for me, it is toastmasters.org, Toastmasters International. Right now, there's so many meetings online in Zoom and other platforms. Join them. You can join from home as a guest. Toastmaster, this is our magazine. Join this club, because that is when you practice and you get feedback. And the feedback is the fast track to self-confidence and to shine on stage. And the second source fountain that I have used all my life to gain more self-confidence on stage, I remember I'm in Barcelona. Today I talk a little bit more because I have things to share. Ask your questions while I'm talking. I will answer them with the time. I remember it's the year 98. That's 22 years back. I'm in Barcelona, an Erasmus exchange student. Yeah, man, Erasmus. Any Erasmus students here? Erasmus for life, man. And yeah, there was an after-hour karaoke joint. And I remember that Rod Estrella, a Filipino who owned a Irish pub, Connor, a Filipino owning an Irish pub. He was a friend back then, and he's still today. And he took me to that after place, the karaoke bar at 6 a.m., Erasmus for life. And then suddenly the guy, the moderator, the MC says, and the next singer is a Florian Mueck. And I'm looking at Rod. No, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to sing. I'm not going to sing. Florian Mueck. Shit, it was me. And I walk there. Rod says, I'm coming with you. I'm coming with you. And then Rod, this Filipino friend, was standing next to me on stage. And I start to sing my favorite song, My Way. And now the end is near. And he starts singing with me. And I didn't like it. I wanted a stage for me. That feeling started in 98, my friends. And I kind of got rid of him. And ever since, I love karaoke. Karaoke of self-confidence and Toastmaster. These are my two platforms. Do you have any other platform here in this chat? Put down, and then I can do an infographic afterwards. Platforms to gain more self-confidence, which is not a speakers club or training or karaoke. Put them down. Thank you so much, because I'm really looking forward to your platforms. And don't say parachute. Oh, John Zimmer improv, of course. I will do an infographic on all your ideas on improving your self-confidence. For me, self-confidence is the first step of 15 steps to becoming a more charismatic communicator. If you don't believe in yourself, who will believe you? That's improv in big. John, awesome. Second step, the T. The T brings us right here. There are 4 main objectives that you have as a speaker. Laszlo, great tip. I will follow up on them afterwards. I go through the chat and I will go through that infographic. Platforms for self-confidence. Amazing. 4 pillars, 4 main objectives as a speaker communicator that you have. To inform about something, to entertain, not only fun, humor, drama is very entertaining. Leonardo DiCaprio is drowning in the ice-cold water in Titanic. This is not fun. To persuade, Aristotle at his best. And I can always say, thank you, Connor, for giving me this gift. I use him a lot. Persuasion, moving people to action. And the 4th one, to inspire. Yes, we can. Barack Obama, the queen of speaking. You change your attitude by yourself. I don't have to push you. You know it already. I appeal to your higher values. And on top, this is what I learned over the years. There is a huge block, horizontal block. And this is the end game of public speaking, and for me now of communication. The end game is this. Connection. Even with a camera, I can connect with you. The end game of public speaking, of communication for me, is connect with human beings. But how can you connect if you're not transparent? Emotional transparency, step number 2. Emotional transparency, an absolute super charisma booster for me. My tagline is boosting your charisma. If I give you one, then it's emotional transparency, vulnerability, naked with clothes. This is the basic step number 2. You need that. Now think about all your PowerPoints that you've given in your life, all your business presentations that you've seen in your life. All of them. This is a concept from our friend John Connor here, our friend Olivia Schofield, English, living in Berlin, super stage monster, great professional speaker. And she always uses this to show us what it means to be vulnerable. Because if you think about all your business presentations, my friends, all of them that you've seen, not your own ones, of course, they are all so cool. Oh, there I need a sip of wine, man, when I think about that. They're so cool, yeah. But still, what you share with people is the nice side of the heart, the healthy side, the good side. Everything works, everything will be cool. Cheers, John. Everything will be super cool. but there is no connection. And where the connection is, that's Olivia's concept. That's the broken side. I'm envious. I failed. I did a big mistake. I'm happy. It's my passion. Good and bad. This is vulnerability. This is emotional transparency. And I have had the honor and pleasure to host 10,938, and I count them in Excel, speech evaluation rounds, speeches and its evaluations. And I know it. When you give me a speech about Martin Luther King Jr., I switch off. And I click on my mind, Wikipedia. If you talk about Abe Lincoln, I switch off. If you tell me about your time in the 8th grade, that Abe Lincoln was the main subject of your learning, then I connect. Everything that is you, I stories, I vulnerable, emotionally transparent with the full abanico in Spanish, abanico, with the full fan, this is for me the basic step number 2. Raino Toika, this is Finland, right? Raino, I asked you the other day, Toika with Toikka must be Finnish. Is it Finnish? Oh, later we have a step on humor. Raino, if you're finished, are you finished? Are you finished? You see, that's also something. Connor here for our talks, YouTube Live. John, in case you do in the future. When you ask something, yes, and there's always a little delay. You have to bridge it. Ugh. Raino, later there is, you're finished. Later there is a step on humor. This is when you can go to the bathroom. Finnish and humor, it's worse than Germans, man. Now, we love you guys. So here we go. The 2 steps, the basic steps for me. Self-confidence, believe in yourself. And transparency, emotional transparency. This for me is 2 basic steps you cannot bargain. And now comes the magic moment. Now comes showtime. Now comes the first sentence. Guys, the first sentence, you know what the first sentence is? Is when air comes out of your lungs, goes through your vocal cords, through the organs here, and leaves your mouth, and there's a sound. That is the first sentence when you present something. When you speak, online, offline, on stage, this is it. Yesterday we had a Toastmasters meeting, my speakers club. Online, we had 26 people on Zoom. Very cool meeting. Guests from, there was Richa from Cyprus, for instance. 2 of them started their speech with, "Can you hear me?" In this sessions, the second one, my microphone didn't work. Connor, today you said that your thing didn't work for 10 minutes, the setup. We do these mistakes once. This is professional, man. This is once you do it, that's fine. Make your mistake, lesson learned. Can you hear me does not exist as a first sentence. And a normal speak on stage, I always take the example of, think about all John, that you say just now, the interesting thing is that self-confidence leads to transparency. Yeah, they are connected. The more confident you are, the easier it is to be transparent. And the more transparent you are and get the good feedback, the more confident you become. Reciprocity. Definitely, John. Now, I always think about how does a writer start a book? Like my great star, Hemingway. I love Hemingway. In my 10th grade, I had to give a presentation on this book, For Whom the Bell Tolls. For the last 17 years, I live in Spain. This book is about the Spanish Civil War. It's an amazing book. Now, how does a writer start a speech? Does a writer start a speech like this, like Hemingway? Hello, dear reader. My name is Ernest Hemingway. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here with you today. Today I will tell you a nice story. It's not so nice, though, about the Spanish Civil War. And you know I'm a more Republican, but I will also say something about the dark side of the Republicans here. And it's and I'm sorry for being late. But this is how speakers start their presentations. In webinars, on the big stage, I see it all the time. In my trainings, everywhere. Disclaimers and noise. Disclaimers and noise. Come on. For me, the first sentence, that one here, the third step of 15 steps to becoming a more charismatic communicator, has only one objective: 100% of the attention. I want, when I open my mouth, 100% of the attention. And guess what? Now you're 22 people in the call. Now you're even more distracted than a normal audience sitting in front of me as a speaker. Zoom calls, Teams, Chimes, and Amazon. This is a nightmare of attention. This is a nightmare. And then they click off their images and they show their image, their video, they show their image. You know they're going to the bathroom. They're going to heat up their food. I don't know what people do. You have no attention. When you open your mouth, online and offline, make sure 100% of the attention. There's nothing here in between. Not 10%, not 90%, 100%. So how does he really start? He lay flat on the brown pine-needled floor of the forest, his chin on his folded arms, and high overhead, the wind blew in the tops of the pine trees. A writer writes every first sentence in the way that you have to read the second one. And for people who are more musical than reading books, I'm a clarinet player. You can also have the same thing in, John, you said you shouldn't sing. I will sing again later, John, but I'm also a clarinet player. Now, how does Beethoven start his piece? Does he start like this? Hello, my name is. Yeah, it was late and I had a delay and I'm so sorry for it. And I have to thank the organizers. Or does he start like this? It's your choice, my friends. It's your choice. No cocktail party, I will say hello. In a bar, in a restaurant, when I'm with the waiter, with my special Rose who's working up there, you know what I say? First sentence? With whom do we have the pleasure today? That is my first sentence. Guys, your first sentence means they want to listen to you. They know this is going to be great. Disclaimers, noise out, start like Hemingway or like Beethoven. There's nothing else to do here for me. We have reached, now that you have the attention of the audience, the first sentence was spot on. And by the way, now that I'm thinking about it, thank you, John, you love my singing. You get one chance to make a good first impression. Exactly. But now that I think about it, there was one lady, to give you an example of stuff I remember after years. This is 6 years back in Munich. John, you go back to Munich, back before to Freeletics, that's his client. I go to Munich a lot. And in Munich, I was there 6 years ago. And she, picture the lady, I would say 40-ish, very well dressed, from Switzerland, spoke with a Swiss-German accent. It was a German, the training. And she had, as a baby, she had this problem with the pills, Condagan. There was a problem that people, they were born with some extremities missing. And she had no arm here. So she was dressed very well. She's a businesswoman, superwoman, super nice person. And she started with this arm. First sentence. I was born with one wing, but I learned how to fly. Take that to your next presentation. That's your benchmark now. It is mine. You have their attention, first sentence, amazing. And you have the base, of course, you're self-confident, because without that, there's nothing. And you're emotionally transparent. Yeah, John, that was a killer 6 years back. And now come 4 steps. These are the content steps. Because content is, what is content? Always will be, never ceases to be. Content is, it's an alliteration. I give you a hint with a C and a K. Content is, of course, king. Content is king. I mean, in Europe and all over the world, content is king for sure. Exactly, Laszlo. Content is king. So here are 4 steps for great content. And the first one is the S. For me, the big bang of rhetoric. Those of you, Juan Carlos, you've been with me since the beginning. Almost every session, Juan Carlos has been. Alba, Liliana, hello. You've been with me. What is the big bang of rhetoric for me? You know it. While I'm painting. I'm painting badly. Oh man. This is the cool thing about life. White today, Alex? Yeah, the wine, yeah. You have to change, Alex, sometimes. No, those of you who know it, come on, tell me. Juan Carlos, what is the big bang of rhetoric? You have been here with me all the time, all the way through. It is, of course, this building. Now, the big bang for me of rhetoric, to persuade people and also inspire people, is structure. No structure, no speech. No structure, no presentation. No structure, no talk. Nothing. It is blah, 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 blah. You can do that in the bar. In the bar, you can do your blah, blah. Oh, that doesn't really, is that an assonance, John? Structure. Now, Connor asked me the other day, will you give away in these sessions your 4-step method to create the speech structure building? I call it the speech structure building. It is nothing else. It's not rocket science. It's a Greek temple with a foundation, the opening, with 3 pillars, ABC, with the rooftop, the closing, and the magical element, the drain pipe. Today I started my session with la da 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 from Love Story. You know how I'm going to finish this session. This is the drain pipe. Go back to your first sentence. But Connor asked me, will I give away my 4 steps to build this in the end and have a really solid structure for a speech? Guys, Alvaro is in a private school in Barcelona. We are in a crisis. I also have to earn something. I cannot give away my signature exercise. I give away everything, but no, Connor, I cannot give it away. But the outcome is this. This is the basic structure. You start strong with the first sentence that you've just heard. You have a strong message. There's an entire session in these 25 sessions on message. An entire session on message. There's an entire session on structure. You can see all these sessions. Everything I covered today is almost already covered. Almost all of it. Connor, singing, will there be any Frank Sinatra? I have to. My way. Oh, I could do that. I could do that. Kuala Lumpur workshop topic in front of 3,000 people. Still remember the Greek temple. Laszlo, yes, this is it. It's nothing else. In the end, Aristotle said, a whole is which has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's not rocket science. The drain pipe is an old concept. I made it mine. You have a strong message here. You do a signpost, go to the structure exercise. For instance, here, there are 3 benefits to do more sports at home. Right now, many people do sports at home. Connor, there are 3 benefits. Signpost, then you give the benefits, and here's all the rhetoric in there. Logos, ethos, pathos. There are sessions for each one of them. Logos, it makes sense. Arguments based on it makes sense, logic. Ethos, arguments based on your person, your persona, your authority, your reputation, your experience, your charisma. This is ethos. And of course, pathos, emotional appeal, storytelling, metaphors, 5 senses, vision and dreams. All these are elements already covered in all the other sessions. 3 is the magic number. Connor, I gave speeches with 4 pillars too. but 3 is the magic number. Tic-tac-toe, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the 3 little piggies. In German, gut, besser, Paulaner, the beer brand, and the new iPad 2, slimmer, lighter, faster. All the time 3. In the end, you come here, you do a summary, a recap, a summary, because we forget everything. Very important for longer presentations. When I do longer presentations, I do in-between summaries. Like here in the third, in this transition, I say, so far we have covered this and that. Now let's go to the third and most important benefit. Important because people forget. You do a summary for sure at the beginning of the end. You repeat your message, do more sports at home. Then comes the famous call to action. Here's one exercise for you that I put in the chat. That's now hypothetical. That you can do right when we finish this call. That's a call to action. And then you go back to when you talk about how you started to do sports at home 3 weeks ago for the first time. This is the basic structure of any persuasive talk, the logos-based structure. This is the big bang of rhetoric. If you do not have structure, there is nothing. It is just blah, 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 like in a bar. Cool, what else? Now we have structure. Do you have more questions in the meantime? Questions. Frank Sinatra, Connor, I don't know yet because I didn't set up the music and it only rocks with that song. And by the way, I cannot do it because when I use more than some seconds, they filter it, and YouTube. I can never use this video in the future. No singing at the end of Sinatra today. This is in my trainings. This is exclusively for my training. Connor, people don't even know that. Now they know. It's a spoiler. It's like telling people, like in Sixth Sense, he's dead at the beginning. No! God, I did it once in a training. She killed me almost. Structure. Second step out of 4 for great content. If you have questions, when you have questions, shoot them. We had a whole session on rhetorical devices. And if you remember, I showed you this one here. Rhetorical devices are colorful spots in the gray mass, in the sea, in the gray mass of content. Colorful spots in the gray mass of content with 2 big benefits. 2 big benefits. First, rhetorical devices make you reflect more on the content. They make you reflect more. And second, they make you remember your content better. Reflect more, better memory. And why? Because almost all of them are based on 2 patterns. Either contrast, like less is more, paradox, or 2-word paradoxes, happily divorced, kindly arrogant, black milk, Catalan friend. I've just lost all my Catalan friends in this chat. I always say that it's the mother of all oxymorons is Catalan friend. I've been here for 17 years. Connor, no, I'm not going to drag you down with me. A 2-word paradox is an oxymoron. That's contrast. Antithesis, small step for man, a giant leap for mankind, Neil Armstrong. All this is paradox. And our brain thinks, what do you mean, heavy feather? And the more you reflect, the better you remember. That's simple. The second thing we always remember, we remember 2 things in life, basically. One is repetition. Great post. Check out Tobias Rodriguez, tobiasrodriguez.com. Our friend Tobias, super coach, team builder. His tagline is badass teams. He builds badass teams, online, offline. Go there, new article, 6 mistakes for remote working. Great article. And in this, he says something in Latin, repetition is the mother of all learning, something like that. John, of course, you will know the Latin version of that, right? Delia, I'm right with you. And so repetition works for memory. And many rhetorical devices are based on repetition, like epizeuxis. This is fun, fun, fun. Or Winston Churchill, never give in, never give in, never, 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 never give in. 4 times because it's Winston. Amazing. So this is rhetorical devices, lots of contrast, lots of repetition. I send you now my updated, I had a mistake the other day in my 50 rhetorical devices list. So this one, there was one mistake. I got one wrong. This one is now the updated version. These are 50 rhetorical devices that I apply over and over again. And the more you apply them, the more you use them, the more they become part of your everyday language. Like John and I, we always spot asyndeton. Asyndeton is you take away the last conjunction. Like we create people, hopes, futures, not and futures. This is asyndeton. So we are freaks. If you go into rhetorical devices, you become a real freak. This is like Sheldon Cooper in The Big Bang Theory. Repetitio mater studiorum est. Thank you, Finland. Reino, amazing. Okay, here we go. Delia, question. Is there a particular structure for beginning and structure for closing? Well, if I follow my pattern, which I normally do, it is always the same elements. I use 3 elements in my opening. First sentence, then everything that comes afterwards, like the initial story, for instance. It was a rainy day 8 years ago on that random Sunday. Then I tell a story, but then after 29 seconds, people get nervous. What is it all about? Message, second element, message, and then always a signpost. 3 benefits, 4 moments that shaped my future. A signpost with a number that indicates the number of pillars, the arguments of your speech. And in the closing, always 3 as well. Always a summary, always the same message, and always a call to action. Or when you go to the session on the call, when it's an inspiring speech, I call it call to reflection. What would you have done in my situation where I was in 5 years ago? That's not sign this petition. This is called to reflection. But don't let them hang there. Start the journey. Every speech, Delia, is the beginning of a journey. It's never the end. And this is the task of the call. So there's 3 elements I always use, whatever I do in the opening, and 3 elements I always use in the closing. The golden rule, though, is there are no rules. Everything that works, works. And it's Brother John, polysyndeton. John, give him a polysyndeton in the chat. Everyone check out what John says now. There's asyndeton. You take out the conjunction, or John will give you an example now. Amazing. Rhetorical devices, whole session. Check out the PDF I just sent you. It is great stuff. Jock Elliott, a former world champion of Toastmasters International in a bar in Krakow, he told me once, Florian, knowing rhetorical devices is good. Detecting rhetorical devices is better. Applying rhetorical devices is gold. Here is the example. John just gave it. He plays hockey and football and tennis and basketball. But then the conjunction, which normally is a filler word, here it gives more emphasis. It makes it stronger. Rhetorical devices. Let's move on. Step number 6. Q, what could Q be? Content. Well, that's simple. There's not many Q words, are there? Q words. Do you know Q words? It's quotes, quotations. Why do we use quotations, quotes? I asked it the other day in the session. Why do we use quotes, guys? Why do we use quotes? Think about Nelson Mandela. What does he have? Think about logos, ethos, and pathos. Logos, ethos, and pathos. Nelson Mandela, more than 30 years, was it, in prison? Whoa. Build a united country through rugby. This man has more than God himself. Well, we use quotes. I use quotes mostly for ethos. You steal ethos without being a thief to gain more credibility, authority from some other person. And exactly, Alba, credibility, namaste. And of course, it also makes sense many times because these sentences, it makes a lot of sense. So this is also logos. Quote, expert testimony. Steve Jobs said 15 years ago, everything will be mobile. Imagine he had said that. If Steve says it, it makes sense to invest into mobile, doesn't it? So a lot of logos, but I use it for ethos more than anything else. So here we go. Quotes, 3 tips on quotes. Yesterday, John, you quoted, "Be the change you want to see in the world." I checked it again. He never said it in this form. They took it out and made it happen that it sounds cool. He didn't. Check it, everyone. Gandhi. First tip of 3 tips for quotes: don't use Gandhi. I'm so sick of Gandhi. He's a great statesman. United Company, he's a great person, but he's overly used. And when something's overly used, it becomes when something is overly used, it becomes I think there's a delay always of some seconds when I think about my chat. Well, a problem that cannot be solved is already solved. It's cliche. Thank you, Alba. It's cliche. Overly used is cliche. And cliche for speakers is worse, more dangerous than the coronavirus. Stay away from cliche. So first tip, don't use Gandhi. Second tip. Who of you in this chat, yeah, Ebola I always said, but to have better illusion, which is right now, Juan Carlos, I use the corona. Normally I say Ebola. In this chat, everyone here in this call, 23 people right now, who of you don't have to say it, just think about it. Do you hate your own mother? Do you hate your own mother? And now in my trainings, people they do this quirky laughter, like, what a stupid question. That's what they think. Guys, I always ask these questions in January in Berlin when we still could travel. Two people in my training. Mother alcoholic, left the company, a bitch. They hated their own mother. There are people who hate their mother. With the bell curve concept, though, I realized, because I always asked this question for years, guess what? More or less 93.75% love their mom. Mom quotes. Use more your mom. People love their mom. Moms have so much ethos, so much credibility. Why does nobody talk about their mom? I always use my mom. And some of you know my mom. And it's 5 years back, maybe. What about my wife's mother? That's your mother-in-law, Juan Carlos. We're not going to touch this topic. We're not going to touch your mother-in-law. Don't touch the topic. 5 years back, we are in Bamberg. Anyone has been to Bamberg, Bavaria? Bamberg is a really Bavarian place. And there we are. Don't say it to Bambergen because we are Franconians. It's a tangent. Forget about it. We are Bavarians. So we are in this place. Alvaro is playing with something on the table. He was back then 8 years old. My mom is having her dark beer. They brew beer that tastes like ham, smoked ham. It's dark beer. The brand is called Schlenkerle. Americans, they love Schlenkerle beer. So here we are. Grandmother is also cool, Alba, but I never had her. So with mothers, you're safer. Grandmother works the same way. Let's go to my mom now. And I ask her, in this place, she has her 3rd pint of smoked ham beer. Well, starting with the 3rd one, it tastes well. It tastes good. So there's my mom. And I just had this thought. Suddenly I thought, Mom, you've been an elementary school teacher for 42 years. 42 years with 7-year-olds, 8 years old. That's a lot of experience. What's your biggest lesson learned? And my mom takes a huge sip and she said, where there is no hook, you cannot hang a jacket. Guys, in your teams, at your work, remote or not, or there are people, when you're freelancers, your clients, there are people in the world, they have no hook. Don't try to hang a jacket. What a strong message with your own mom. I've been following Connor, my friend. Do you follow his great YouTube live sessions of Connor? Some of you, I know you do. when I compare Connor today with 6-7 years back, now there's much more stories from the family, from the father, from the mother, quotes from the mother. Guys, that is ethos. It's personal. It is transparent. It has only advantages. Use more your mom. And the third tip, it's down here. Now, John, it's great that you're here. It's great that you're here. You're going to love this one. This was meta talk. I shouldn't do meta talk. So I'm down here. It's more or less 8 meters from here. There's the kitchen. Small table in the kitchen. I'm sitting here with a computer and I'm writing with a Google Doc document. We are working on der TED effect, the TED effect. I think now we are working on an English ebook with our publisher. Let's pray and hope that they will do it soon. So we're writing on this book, which is right now only in German and in Russian. John and I working on this book. Now, John is an ex-lawyer, a quarter of a century lawyer or more. He worked for the United Nations, for the WHO, and you know how lawyers are. Today I watched a documentary on Jerry Lewis. I have to do the typewriter. Now, that's a lawyer. And I'm sitting there in my kitchen. Rose, my special Rose, is cooking some Asian food next to me. And I have a blockage. You know a blockage? I don't know what to write. And in Google Doc, there's these cursors. It was yellow and lila, I think. No, John, it's not. It's not to be careful. And we're writing, and I see he's writing all the time. I see John's cursor dancing on my screen, and I'm stuck. And I'm starting to be very worried because you have to do 50-50. This is a co-authored book. What am I going to do? And Rose is cooking, and I'm suddenly saying, like, Rose, what? Rose, I don't know what to do. I'm never going to finish this book. And Rose stopped cooking, turned to me and said, Florian, the ship will straighten out when it reaches the bridge. I kept writing, John. This is the reason why we finished our book. And the ship straightened out when it reached the bridge. Third tip for quotes, lots of ethos, lots of credibility, Asian wisdom. I know there are other proverbs from all around the world, but Asian wisdom, Confucius, Lao Tzu, Sun Tzu, all these great guys, generals, philosophers, Asian wisdom, proverbs and quotations. This is gold, my friends. And the next time somebody wants your data so fast, you say, but Lao Tzu, the great Chinese philosopher said, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Asian wisdom, mom's wisdom, no Gandhi. If you follow these 3 tips, my friends, your quotes go up tremendously, and so does your charisma in your communication. I'm absolutely sure. Any question? If you have question, I can also answer, of course, afterwards when I have all the chat in front of me. Quotations, great content. And the last one, of course, what is the king of content? Content is king, but what is... Hey, John, this is a new one. Connor, content is king, but there's a king of content. Oh, sorry guys, I have to write this down. Content is king, but there's a king of content. By the way, for the nerds here, this is not a real chiasmus. Rhetorical device is an anti-metaboly because you use the same words. It's like Abba. It's like ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That is an anti-metaboly, a special form of the chiasmus, the reversed repetition. But this is really geeky now. What is the king of content? I mean, obviously. You mentioned it before, Juan Carlos. Obviously. Best content you can share. not a single, of course, Richard, your personal story, and make it personal. Don't give me those stupid Wikipedia speeches. I'm so sick of Wikipedia speeches. When people explain to me stories about other third, something, Jeanne d'Arc, yeah, but with one tab, I know more about Jeanne d'Arc than you will ever learn. Tell me your story. And those who have followed this, today I will do the intensive one, the extensive one version, because I have two aspects here. The first one is the main concept of all stories, which goes back, of course, to him. And I promised John I'm going to read this soon. I've started a little bit. It's heavy stuff, but I know the concepts. In this book, Joseph Campbell, 1949, described the hero's journey. You have it in an extensive version, also in the session on storytelling that we had a couple of days back. But in the end, what happens in a story is this, a good story. Think about Finding Nemo now. Have you seen Finding Nemo? Because this question I was asked, do you know that more or less 95% of all people I've asked, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, know Finding Nemo? Finding Nemo is one of those movies by Pixar that almost everyone has seen. It's amazing. Well, let's take Finding Nemo here. What happens in Finding Nemo? I put the hero's journey, which in its original version has 12 stopovers. Thank you, Delia. Me too. Love the movie. 12 stopovers. If I give you now in this YouTube live session already, you can watch it afterwards, but still 12 is far too much. So I put it into 3 main steps, which I call, like the series, CSI. What happens? Let's take Nemo. Nemo is in Happy Doozylandia with his, well, actually the father starts as a prologue. When Nemo is already a child. Nemo lives at a school. He has this flapping thing. He has a problem with his fin, but then he lives at home. This is happy. This is the comfort zone. This is the comfort zone. You know your comfort zone. But in all stories, and he was really, really extensive with analyzing from Buddha to Jesus to Muhammad to all the old Hercules and all of them, and Achilles and Hector. It's always the same. Something happens, and this is the challenge. Nemo is gone. Oh, fuck, Nemo is gone. Where the hell is Nemo? What happened? Oh, no, the humans, they stole him. Where's Nemo? The challenge comes. In your life, it can be that your client doesn't sign a contract. You had a fight with your friend. Your spouse wants to leave you. That is a challenge. Private, professional, they're all over the place. I did this course now for my son Alvaro. He's 13 in his school. I did an online video course, an introduction to rhetoric. And there I said, so you're telling me you have no Nemo story, but imagine you missed the bus back home. Challenges are everywhere. And this is why the father of Nemo has to leave his comfort zone and he has to start his journey. The journey starts with a challenge. And then, of course, here, struggle. The sharks, Nemo, the sharks, only the sharks. Imagine the pelicans. There's struggle all the time. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, think about all the struggles, Hansel and Gretel, all the time, War and Peace, struggle all the time. Then they make it. That's the climax. The climax. Nemo! The climax, the Death Star explodes. The ring falls into the lava. That's the climax. But the most important part comes now. Because our protagonist, the father of Nemo, Nemo is also, but the father, that's the real hero. He has learned something. He has to leave his comfort zone to accomplish great things. And that lesson learned, la moraleja in Spanish, the moral of the story, the lesson learned, that, my friends, is inspiration for us, the audience, the readers, the viewers, the audience, your people on these little tiny images now on Zoom meetings, these people. They get inspiration from your lesson learned. And with that, he comes back home. Father and Nemo, now they are the heroes. The underdog, the clownfish who's not funny, turned through the journey into the hero and comes back as the hero. This is why this is called the hero's journey. And in the middle, there's always the M. Who's the M? What could M mean? Well, in the original version, it's H. I call it better M for me, personal taste. In H, it means the helper. There's always a helper. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda. And here it's Dory. It's Dory, the one who speaks Walish. The blue fish. And that's the mentor. She's not the smartest mentor because she forgets everything, but she still mentors him through the journey. That's why it's an amazing mentor. I think Dory in Finding Nemo is an amazing mentor. No superpowers. She has issues. Maybe this is the reason why the movie was so successful. Now that I'm thinking, think about it. Dory is a handicapped mentor. That's cool. Never thought about it. So this hero's journey is the first thing I want to give you as a storytelling concept. This is the same plot. When you have some challenge, which we normally, it's just there, we don't even pay attention, like missing a bus, or you're stuck in a traffic jam, or a call that you miss. These are all beginnings of great stories. John and Dory was transparent. Exactement. She's a great mentor. So the second concept in storytelling, today is a bit longer here, the session, is the 7 golden rules of Aristotle. I thought for a while, should I install the software that I can share my screen and I show you all my fancy slides? No, I don't even have them. I normally use Flipchart, so now these DIN A4 sheets are my Flipchart for you today. These are the 7 golden rules of Aristotle. Everything is Aristotle. He drives me nuts because I cannot innovate. Everything is there since him. Horrible. But of course, you can repaint the wheel. So these are the 7 golden rules. This is CSI. The P is no story. And CSI, challenge, struggle, inspiration. This is the story plot. No plot, no story. Of course, there are different plots, but CSI is the plot. Then, what else do you need in stories? Tell me, what else do you need in stories? What else do we need in stories to make it a story? Otherwise, it's not a story. Nadine, if your own world right now is in between struggle and climax, what might be the moral at the end of the Corona story? You know what, Nadine? Nadine jumps back to the hero's journey. You know what, Nadine? The cool thing about the hero's journey is that we're all heroes right now, not being heroes yet. Exactly. But there will not be a story for everyone, Nadine. It will be your story. So better write down. Connor always say, take a journal, write down stuff, because there will be many great stories. Many great stories are being born right now. Characters. Thank you, John. Characters. And since I never liked NLP, you know NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, there are many friends of NLP. My personal taste, it goes into manipulation, but that is difficult because it has many good sides as well. I don't really like it too much, but many things we have in common. And since I don't like it too much, I rebranded NLP. So if I want to bring my characters to life, and I want to bring my characters to life so you can connect emotionally with my characters. Think about films, movies, how careful a director brings his characters slowly to life so we can completely connect with them. We are emotionally attached to these characters. That is more pathos, more persuasive power. You want to make sure your characters come to life. And I rebranded NLP. I give him a name. like John. Today, John, I use you a lot because we are friends and partners. So John Zimmer is his name. And John has a look. John looks like a joyful kid in the body of an early 50er. Is it 50er? Is it called 50er? He has this amazing childishness in an adult body, and his whole thing is to help others to get better. And this makes him such a unique character. And sometimes he carries his baseball cap of a Canadian hockey team because he's a hockey fan. He's Canadian. So give little details about personality, look, and name. Name, look, personality. Always describe people. In speaking, in communication, we don't have, oh, you're 30 years old. Thank you. We don't have the time. We don't have the time. We cannot write a novel like Ernest Hemingway. We cannot describe these people like Ernest. But with little words, you can do it. There's, for instance, the epithet. John does a lot of, now it's the last time I mentioned you, it's overly mentioned here, John Zimmer, but he's a big improv expert, and they have these games, and you always give like the flourishing Florian, jolly John. There's an alliteration with an adjective to describe the person, and this is the rhetorical device of epithet. With epithet, you can bring people to life in their personality, for instance. What else do we need for stories? We have now plot and characters. What else do we need for stories? Plot, characters. Don't tell stories. Don't tell stories. Relive them with dialogue. Relive them with dialogue. Yeah, and then my mom told me that I should come back to Coburg and visit her because she was lonely. This is how people talk. Narrative, a sequence of events, and then happened this, and then happened this, and then. Does it sound like PowerPoint presentations? It's exactly what it is. PowerPoint is a badly told story with narrative only. Dialogue, thank you, Richard. Dialogue. Dialogue is Red Bull for your story. While narrative is a volume pill. It is Red Bull dialogue. Say, and then my mom said, but Florian, when do you come back to Coburg and visit me? I'm lonely. You see, now you are bringing the story to life with dialogue. Always use that. I use dialogues all the time, also on telephone. Dialogue, then transitions. What do you mean by transitions? No, this is transition. No, because it's part of the plot. Transition, the T means great stories have a theme. Kill Bill, vengeance. Star Wars, the Force. Lord of the Rings, the Ring. There's always a theme. Themes are great for PowerPoint presentations as well. One client, one problem, one solution. If you have that one client as a theme, you have dialogues, you can bring people to life, you have a plot, you have everything. But what do people do? They present generic bullshit bingo. We have to add value to our clients, always in plural, always generic. No. Give your presentations a theme. It's a storytelling element you can always use in any presentation. And then, of course, the last three I do now fast. Decor, great. And this comes from Greek theater. I mean, come on. This guy, Greek theater, 2,300 years ago, decoration, stage design. But Florian, I don't know how to design my stage with a PowerPoint presentation business. I heard it all. You can use full screen images, but we have to use our corporate template. No, you don't. Getting there in a second. Wrong direction. Getting there in a second. Decoration is PowerPoint. Decoration is holograms. You can use holograms. They use this huge box right here. And you know what was on top of the box? A glass. And I took this glass, and underneath, you know what I saw? A blue spot. What the hell does the blue spot do underneath my glass? I thought. Sometimes in life, classes are weird. You see, it's with ad-lib now, but this is what I do. I use holograms to decorate my stages. And of course, you can use visual aids, which is always decoration, like, oh, almost this. By the way, Rhetoric, the super public speaking game here, available as a physical version and an app right now. App, super cool. I would never do advertising for it because I don't do advertising online. And by the way, this is not advertising. This is self-promotion. This is self-sponsorship. Self-sponsorship. This is decoration with a little bit of sponsoring. But you could have a flower pot somewhere and you use it later as a visual aid. We're getting to visual aid. So decoration, you have multiple ways to decorate your stage. Don't say it's not possible. Everything is possible in communication when you switch on your chip of creativity. That's it. Creativity. That's it. And then the last two, well, John said I shouldn't sing. And now the end is near. And so I face the final curtain. I'm a great fan of Frank. Right now I'm watching all these YouTubes because I have time. Dean Martin, the Red Pack, amazing. Chorus. And the chorus in Greek theater was not only singing, John, thank you. It was not only singing, they also did like improv, they did comments, it was more interaction, like here in the chat. You can interact, by the way, much more if you want. Chorus, but we can also sing. I sing in all my keynote speeches. Once. Don't sing for 1 hour. They will think you take drugs for real. No. But if your message is with or without your clients, I sing you too, with or without you, for sure. As a fragment, always cool. Always plus feedback. And the last thing for storytelling, spectacle. The Death Star must explode. Spectacle. For healthy performance, Richard, here comes a question. Put in some vitamin C. C for creativity. Exactly. Can I put this down? This is a good one. Vitamin C. Creativity. Thank you so much, Richard. What we do here is we hear it, we take it, we make it better and throw the ball back. This is not stealing. This is making things better for the benefit of the entire group. Spectacle. Now, come on, guys. Spice up your storytelling. The good thing about dialogue is once you use dialogue, automatically you become an actor without being an actor. Like at the coffee machines in your companies or in the past in your companies, says the Miller, no problem. No problem with spectacle, with dialogue. But on stage, it's not always easy with the client, with the colleagues. Come on, when you talk about an accident, make boom! Spectacle. Must be pew, sometimes, some elements, some chispa in Spanish, some spark, some movement, some changes, voice, vocal variety, of course, super important storytelling. With dialogue, Richard, this is a Toastmaster sharing. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, now I feel better. And these are the 7 golden rules. You can check it on the internet. It's almost like a Wikipedia speech. But if I had 2 things here, now, I always tell in my trainings 4 things because decoration, chorus, and spectacle. This is quite abstract concepts. I agree. If you give it a thought, vitamin C, be creative, fine. But what you can never say you cannot do is have a plot, CSI, bring people to life with name, look, and personality. Use dialogue, don't talk about it, relive it with dialogue, and always have a theme for your speeches, presentations. If you add these 4 elements to your storytelling, my friends, your stories will rock because this is the king of content. This is what people remember. This is how you whirl your logos, your logical information. This is how it goes. Tell more stories. Any in-between question? Oh man, we're already in 1 hour 10. Ooh. I said 100 minutes late yesterday will be tough. Any questions so far? Another question. Let's continue with the next 4. Now you have self-confidence, emotional transparency is basic. You have first sentence, you capture their attention. You have 4 steps for great content and how to put the content. Here you put in all your logos, ethos, pathos, and your rhetorical devices and your quotes and your stories. Great content. Now, content is king, but king is also completely overrated. Can you be successful on stage with poor content and great delivery? Can you be successful on stage with poor content and great delivery? That's a rhetorical question. I'm asking this because I've seen it. In my opinion, of course, yes. I'm not going to talk bad about my American friends. I have a lot of American friends, but in Europe, we always have this prejudice that American is more delivery. But that's why they're so successful. Don't think about it. But can you be successful on stage with super content but absolute poor, boring delivery? Then they always bring up the example of Sir Ken Robinson in my trainings, and it is not true because he has good delivery. And look at it again, great pauses, great storytelling, great mimic, great interaction, great icon. He has great delivery. Don't give this as an example, please. If you only want to entertain, only maybe. Nadine, she says, yeah, storytelling at the campfire was also to entertain people. But in the end, you have a great message too. Eh? Richard, in an evaluation speech for the area of improvement, the area should enforce more content delivery or structure. Now, this is a question for Toastmasters here in the group. Richard asked, in an evaluation speech, we give 3-minute evaluation speeches, 4 speeches. Then she says, should it focus on content delivery or structure? John answers, delivery is always crucial, but you may have to adapt depending on the audience. That's a general comment. Yes, we're getting there. I would never, Richard, it's all important. I say don't do either one or the other. It all comes together. I want super content with super delivery. I'm always going for the 100%, which I can never accomplish. But this is my aim. I don't want to deliver less because of my audience. And by the way, authenticity is always on top. And come on, if you're energetic, don't be less energetic because you're talking to Finnish people. Raiko, that was not an insult. But we did with John, we did gigs in Finland, my friends, everywhere in the world they do when I do humorous patterns. And then I moved to the most exciting town of USA, Boise, Idaho. And in Finland, you're great people, but I will be the same energetic in Finland. I don't change my authenticity. Here we go. John, can you go into the question of Richard about the evaluation? Because John is one of the top evaluators in Europe in Toastmasters. Richard, talk to John about this because he's the right person to talk to. John, the Finns are great. Of course they are. So here come now 4 steps for great delivery. And the first one is delivery is to make your message, your content stick for me. You want that your message sticks in the minds of people, the content sticks, you need great delivery. First, VA, visual aids. Juan Carlos, are you still here? Are you still here, Juan Carlos? Alba, all the others. How many props have I used in these 25 sessions? Oh my God. I had the buffalo of Connor. I had the dog poo. I had, tell me, be fast. What do you do for a living? And don't give me generics. That's a great visual aid. 16 I used, I think it was more. This one, and of course this one, and that one. And we had, of course, this is a very actual, right now, it's almost cliche already, isn't it? That's already cliche. A full hidden table, yes. And I use this. Look, let's do an example of visual aids. Okay, first of all, why do we use props? Why do I use props? That's the first of 2 aspects of visual aids I want to cover here. Why do we use props? What's the purpose of a prop? And that's an alliteration. What's the purpose of a prop? My storytelling coach, Mark Brown, he wrote the foreword in my book, 102 Visual Tips, right now on Amazon and Google Play. I will not do advertising for that. He told me once, Florian, you need more rhythm. Well, this guy is born in Jamaica, became an American citizen. He has more rhythm in his blood than God himself. Why do we use props? What's the purpose of props? You see, that is rhythm. To reinforce the message and to make it stick. We use props to make it stick. And it is a good demonstration. It is amazing for demonstrations. And in logos, logic, the logical argument, logos, the number one for me, the top of them all is demonstration. Hans Rosling, the Swedish superstar of science, who passed away, when was it, 2 years ago, unfortunately, young. He always explained everything with things. Look, Richard said vitamin C stands for creativity. We needed, John and I, we needed a lot of vitamin C to get from the first version of Rhetoric, the public speaking game. That's the first version. I did it in PowerPoint, had 2 sheets, and I had 56 fields. Can you imagine 56 fields? We would be playing for 3 hours if we were 2 of us. But that was the first edition. We needed a lot of vitamin C, creativity. We needed a lot of feedback, and we needed a lot of perseverance. Creativity, feedback, perseverance. We needed a lot of this to get to this current product. So when you talk about creativity and feedback and perseverance, show it with visual aids, with props. Show it. Demonstrate your stuff. It makes sense. This is logos. And the second, what is the other visual aid we use as speakers normally in business? I was 8 years and 3 months with KPMG, the place to be. For the nerd, do you know what KPMG means? I was a board member's assistant for 1.5 years in Frankfurt and in Munich. I think I'm one of the only ones who know that it's Kleinfeld, Piet, Mavic, Gödel. Nobody needs to know that. KPMG. What was my language? Visual aid. What is our visual aid in business? PowerPoint. And we had a whole session on PowerPoint. I reinforced this now. There's a simple rule you can apply to your thing, to your PowerPoints. And this is this one. This is your PowerPoint slide deck that you use to as a visual. It's not a real visual aid because you have your corporate template, this boring corporate template, and your bullets and your little graphs and your images, your decoration images, which drive me nuts. It's always distracts from the message. I have 2 versions. This is my tip for you. Solves all the problems with presenting with slides to me. I have a handout version. A handout version is to read. A handout version, send me a PDF. Don't steal my time as a speaker. You're useless as a speaker when you have a handout slide, because it's all there. You don't have to present. So every time it's important and you present with slides. Now, I thought a lot about it. What about the online world now? What about it? I thought a lot about it. And this morning, I decided for me, I will do the same. When I do a webinar, when I do an online presentation, when I do courses, I will also go for the second version. Every time I speak and I complement my speech with slides, I make a screen version. There's a whole session on PowerPoint. Check it out. I'm a fanatic of slides. Slides are great, but I make sure that you never read and listen at the same time, because our brain is simply not capable of doing that. Reading and listening at the same time does not work. Screen slides, whole session on that. Visual aids, I use PowerPoint and I use props. And visual aids make your message more memorable in the end and understandable. This is the purpose. Eye contact, of course. Yesterday, do you know what these guys do in my Toastmasters Club now? Can you imagine? They are creating now these paper classes, and they put them on top here on the camera, on top of the camera, so you think you look at eyes. And 4 people do it yesterday. They do it, 4 people. And I was like, that's a bit freaky. No, it helps me, they said. It's true. I think soon we will see real products, nicely shaped, to put here, so you think you look into the eyes. I've been a friend of this camera for the last at least 10 years. So I know exactly that I will look here. When you do online presentation, look them into the camera. Yeah, this is it. This is my best friend, John. This is it. And I also play with it. Hey, you can train stuff. You know, you can train. Now is the moment to train, to get really, to shape up your style with the screen. Yesterday, somebody said, Peter McKenzie, a great English guy in our club, he said in a feedback round, don't be tied to your screen. Don't be tied to your screen. And I will put a quote, I will make a quote out of it. Don't be tied to your screen, tame your screen. This is offline, but when we are in the real world, this is online, but if we are in the real world, the offline world, look them into the eyes. It is difficult because when you're seated, you have not really stage fright. When you're in front of people, you have stage fright, and we avoid eye contact. But look them into the eyes. Connection needs eye contact, not 5 seconds. That's psychopath. But don't be Indiana Jones looking for treasures. Don't be the visionary. Don't be the other psychopaths who always look 2 centimeters above the head. Crazy stuff happens in a room. Look them into the eyes. It's the end game of public speaking is connection. And connection needs definitely eye contact. Next step, body language. There is a full session of body language. I repeat only fast the word that I use for my gestures. Gestures is the most important thing in body language. You can now argue with me because actually this part here is the most important part for human emotions. Do you know these images on the internet where you only see this part and you know whether it's disgust, surprise, fear? This is I cannot wear shades in summer because I cannot talk to people. I think I'm cut off. I need to connect. No, that was the eye contact now. Now I'm with body language. Now I got confused. Hey, 1 hour, 23 minutes. You will forgive me, please, that I jump now in my content. We are with body language. It's all about, yeah, I said, no, I was right, exactly. It's the mimic. The mimic is body language. The full body is body language. I focus on gestures here. In your screen, gesture is super cool. Let me stop here. Dr. Brazy. Oh man, Dr. Brazy, then you're Dr. Brazy, right? But Brazy is better for digital storytelling. That's cool. That's cool. But I will make a screen Brazy, not a bullet point handout Brazy. I think we're on the same page here. Whether you use Brazy or PowerPoint, it is a form of delivering your slides, your visual aids. But in the end, it is about complementing your speech. This is for me the important thing. Here's another comment. Nadine, you can create a very white sticker with a collection of eyes to represent a whole audience and scan those eyes next to your camera. Now, Nadine is a lateral thinker. For those who don't know yet, Meisel is one of the quirkiest, weirdest, super intelligent minds I know. Great friend from my Toastmasters club. She always has these great ideas. Read her ideas. Use what you can. She's amazing. Body language gestures. It's the full session is online on body language. I repeat the MISS. MISS. I use it's an acronym, a special form of an acronym. MISS. It's an existing word. 4 ways to use my gestures. M stands for metaphorical gestures. And then 10 years ago in Berlin, when I had no money, I had to change my perspective. Change my perspective. My entire life. My entire life. The career went on. These are metaphorical gestures. They replace what you say by gestures. Second one, the I. Super, super easy. You do it all the time. Now at home, right here, can you release a handbrake with your gesture, with your arms, with your hands? Do it at home right now. Release a handbrake. Take a glass of a table. Move the glass to your mouth. Drink. Pick something from a shelf which is up there. Eat with a spoon. Fix the rear view mirror in your car if you have one up there. No, for you it's up there. Depends on England or the rest of the world. Come on, guys. This is here. Are you telling me you cannot illustrate anything with your gestures? Anything? And then they always tell me in my trainings, yeah, and then I moved to Buenos Aires and for 3 years I lived there and I really fell in love with tango. Angela Merkel, come on, one gesture, only one. We moved, then we spoke. First we moved, then we spoke. First we moved, then we spoke. Evolution of humans. Body language is more powerful than your spoken word, and we know it. And I will give you not. This is a rhetorical advice to change. It's like, ask not what your country can do. I will give you not this pie chart with 55% of everything we communicate is nonverbal. Bull. Who can calculate that? Come on, guys, get real. But I know first we moved, then we spoke. S, body language, gestures. S, symbolic gestures. Few of them. Love, victory, super, this is okay. Don't do that in Turkey. I did it in Turkey. Don't do that in Turkey. I love this gesture. I don't know where to put it. Moi, vous. It's a great gesture. And I love the screen of it. I just love this 3D effect. I love it. If you don't like it, you're part of the bell curve with the haters. I don't care. Bell curve. And then, of course, signaling gestures, they do more emphasis to what you say, like the cutting wood, as Connor here always says, cutting wood or cutting wood with 2 hands, or this typical, this is a bit Donald Trump. I don't know what this gesture means, but it is his gesture. And this is, of course, this is a great gesture. I love this one here. And of course, counting with fingers. There are 4. Be careful, happens all the time. Happens all the time. We have to focus here on 2 important aspects. Avoid inconsistencies between your body language and your spoken word. Audiences freak out. They love it. So these are signaling gestures, I call them, symbolic gestures, illustrative gestures, metaphorical gestures. Whatever you do, my friends, use more your body language. Speak with your body. Be like Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean. Man, and why do we always close the body? Check the whole session on body language. We talk a lot about why people close their body, how they do it, amazing. And the T-Rex, always 90 degrees, drives me nuts. Do a TED.com image Google search. Google image search TED.com, 90% T-Rex. And in my trainings, I would say, do you know that you can move the arms in other angles than 90 degrees? Yeah. And the last one is, of course, what is the V? The most important delivery element for me, by far. You have visual aids, props, you have eye contact to connect, you have the body language to make more emphasis. It's stickier, it's more powerful. That was more Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. Yeah, great movie, isn't it? Always comes in Christmas, no? Well, V stands, of course, for voice. Now, before, when I was preparing this session today, I was walking around in the garden here, out there with Betty and Lily, our Labrador, and our Golden Retriever ladies. They are like yin and yang. Sometimes they sleep like this, and it looks like yin and yang. Amazing. And I was thinking, is it more difficult to keep the tension with an audience offline, on stage, or online with a screen? Is it more difficult to keep the tension level high with offline audiences or online audiences? What is more difficult? It's a great Spanish white wine, Pero Verde, the green dog. What is more difficult to keep the level of attention? Oh, now that is the bell curve again. We have already two answers and they're on the other sides. Now you're the math. There's only online and offline. Two options. Alba says online, Laszlo offline. Any other opinions? Because with 18 people, what's more difficult to keep the level of attention high in an offline on stage audience or online with you guys right now? Interesting. This is a little tiny survey. This is one of the ways to use the chat, by the way, do surveys. Liliana says online, more difficult. Alba says online, more difficult. Laszlo says offline, köszönöm. Köszönöm, Laszlo. Desek, köszönöm, egészségedre. Age. No, négy, három, something. Any other opinions, online, offline? Well, where are the distractions bigger? This is for me, the attention is distraction. This is when distraction goes up, your attention goes down. And online, of course, I have no idea what you're doing at home. 17 people, and I have no idea what you're doing. You're definitely distracted more in an online audience. This means the number one weapon of attention, which is your voice on stage, always, and it will always be, is even more important. I'm absolutely convinced. Masood Shah, hi here, says the same, more or less. I guess online is more difficult now. We can follow, we will see that in the future, what happens. But I tell you, voice, come on. It's even more important. Yeah, but then it's not me. This is what people, they always put the stop sign. It's not me. And then they go to their partner and say, you bitch! Sorry for the B word, but I don't believe them a word. Come on. Now, are you home alone? Let's do some exercise here, like in my trainings. Let's do this. Okay, if you're not home alone, it's a problem. But what I want you to do now is you take your favorite sports. Okay, those who don't like football, this is not your exercise, but those who like football. John, you take hockey. Rhino, Toika, you do a sports. What is Finn is also hockey, no? I guess hockey, ice hockey. Take your Finn. So your favorite team is in the final of the league. If your team wins, you are the champion of the season. This is your team, all your passion, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, NFL, whatever it is. So your team, you're in the stadium. You're in the stadium or in the hall. You're in the place. And you had a little bit of, if you can drink, you had a little bit too much before because it's the final game. You're with the fans and you're totally pumped up. And it's empate in Spanish. It's the same result. And it's just 10 seconds to play. And your strikers, your offense, they're going there and they score the goal. And now at home, scream the way you would scream. I was a football fan. I played football for more than 20 years. And I can tell you, I remember one game, Nuremberg, underdog team, now second division in Germany, underdog, Northern Bavaria. We had Bayern Munich, our big enemies, Bayern Munich, the superstars. We had it in our place, Nuremberg, Bayern. And when we scored, we're talking about the year, it's so, oh my God, it is at least 91. I have to check, 91. So it's a long time ago. When we scored the 4-1 against our all-time enemy, the 4-1, And I was in the fan curve. I did this. Yeah! That's exactly what I did. And then they tell me, yeah, but that's not me. Guys, vocal variety. Up, down, fast, slow. Pitch, 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 pitch. And when everything goes zero, the pause, the pace, the pitch, the volume. These are the four, lowering the volume, John. Yeah, sorry. Hey, come on, John. If your hockey team wins, you would do the same. 4 dimensions of your voice. Your pause, your pace, your pitch, and your volume. And in this grid, this 3-dimensional grid, you have to move. You speak with your voice. This is your biggest weapon of attention, online and offline. But as we said, online, I guess, even more. Oh, John, you knew what was coming. Yeah, you lowered the volume before, I guess. So here we go. Now we have amazing stuff already accomplished. You use your voice like in real life. The only thing you have to do with your voice is use your voice like in real life. Great tip, great thing what I did right away to use more vocal variety. Don't tell stuff, relive it with people in the form of dialogues. The dialogue, hey, come on, it's always more modulation. Oh, Richard, good you could not hear me. Cricket, Indian World Cup final last hour. Richard, are the neighbors coming or they cannot, right? Are you locked down too in Cyprus? That must have been a great one. You use your voice like in real life. Use dialogues to start your vocal variety. Use your body language. Use eye contact. The camera is your new best friend. On stage, eye contact. Always one at a time. Bill Clinton wants to have one covered at one time throughout his speech. And then, of course, visualize props. And PowerPoint, make sure it's screen slides, not handout slides, when you speak with slides. That rhymes. And then, of course, we had all the content, your stories, your personal stories inspire. Your personal stories, they are memorable. Your personal stories make the message stick like glue. And then quotes for more ethos. Moms are great. Asian wisdom is great. Wisdom is great. Use stuff that others don't use. Gandhi is a bit cliche for me. Rhetorical devices, they are so colorful spots. They stick out through contrast and repetition, most of them. And of course, your structure is super simple. A Greek temple with foundation, 3 pillars, a rooftop, a drain pipe. Super simple. And then the first sentence, make sure, chuck, they are captured. I have you. I was born with one wing, but I learned how to fly. And you're transparent emotionally. You get full in, naked with clothes, full in, all in like in poker. Emotional transparency that supports your message. That's a thing. Don't just do it for show. And then, of course, self-confidence. If you don't believe in yourself, who will believe you? Now you have amazing, how many do we have now? 11 steps. But still, who remembers you? You need the 4 last steps to be immortal speakers. And the first one is the H. And that is what Germans don't have. And Finns less. It's the last time I talk about Finns. Rainer, I really love you guys. And it's an amazing country. And well, Germans and humor, this is the mother of all paradox. Humor. Use humor. But it's so difficult. This is what I thought 15 years ago when I started my career at Toastmasters International. That's what I thought. Today I know it's almost the easiest one because humor is pattern, and pattern means you can replicate it. That is easy. We had a full session, by the way, about humor. So today, check out the humor session. Today, I only want to focus on this one once again, because this is the pattern of literally any joke in the world. A normal joke. You tell something, you build an expectation, you build the expectation, but you deviate from the expectation, and this is the punchline. I just used it before. I moved to the most exciting town in the United States, Boise, Idaho. Rodney Dangerfield, for those who haven't seen the other session, me and my wife were happy for 20 years, and then we met. John is a genius. Today I mention you a lot, John. That's because we are partners. We co-create a rhetoric game, which is not advertising, it is self-sponsorship. But of course I have to mention you, John. He's a brilliant, humorous person. And in my trainings, when I hear sentences like, yeah, and then I studied the most boring thing in the world, I studied law. And then I studied the most boring thing in the world, I studied law. I always think, what would have John have said? He would have said, and then I studied the most respected, how do you say it? Most respected occupation? No. Okay, I changed it, John, for you. I studied the sexiest subject in the world, law. You see that people laugh. And for me, an all-time classic, I mentioned it also in the other session, Groucho Marx, amazing character. Groucho, the Marx Brothers profession. Yeah, he said, I studied the noblest profession. I became a lawyer. That was the talk in the TEDx talk, right? John, that's the TEDx talk. Check out John Zimmer's TEDx talk. Great one. The threshold. It's about the threshold. I like Groucho Marx a lot. I think television is very educational. Every time it's on, I go to the other room and I read a book. Amazing stuff. So this is the one pattern you can always use. You build an expectation, you deviate. Sometimes you just have to turn it around. People say, and then I didn't really make it far away from New York City. I moved to New Jersey. Come on, guys. You have to say, and then I left New York City to explore the wide, wide world. I ended up in New Jersey. It is not rocket science. It is a punchline because you say something unexpected. This is humor. No humor, no speech. What do you think? A 10-minute, there is no golden rule. And the golden rule here in everything we do is there are no rules. But what is your feeling in a 10-minute speech presentation, online, offline, 10-minute speech presentation? How many laughs? What do you say? Laszlo, what do you say? 10-minute speech, how many laughs would you say would be cool? Yeah, you remember that one. 1 per minute? Good. 3? Rhino? That's because you're from Finland, Rhino. Hey, that was the last time. That was the last, I swear. Keep going. Keep going. I love you already. Depends on the purpose of the speech. Well, I always say I gave the eulogy for my dad 12 years ago. And he was, of course, a joker. He was the carnival's president in my village. And he was always funny. And you know, these people who are so humorous, it hurts. That was my dad. So with my brother, I wrote the eulogy the night before, and it was a 6-minute speech. And we had, I think, at least 10 big laughs in that 6-minute speech because on purpose. It was really weird to see laugh and crying, tears and laughter at the same time. Purpose of the speech. Of course, when it's a war declaration, no humor. When you dismiss people, when you have to lay off people, no humor. In all other speeches, come on, guys. Make them laugh. Laughter is super positive. It breaks the ice. It makes you likable. It brings you its closeness. My feeling is in a 10-minute business presentation, my feeling is 7 to 10 laughs. But that is personal. And the rule is there are no rules. Exactly. 20 is a lot, Richard. 15 would make the majority beginning to connect. Yeah. But of course, business is business also. This, I would say 7 to 10. I think 1 a minute is a good indicator. Go to the humor session. We covered 7 humorous patterns. Saying the unexpected is one of them. 7 are in the session. 3 more steps, then we're done. But how should I put passion into these numbers and facts and figures? Florian, I understand you with all the storytelling and the metaphors and the whole cool thing and the humor. Yeah, but when it's a business with facts, data, and figure, my metrics, I cannot use all this emotional stuff. Do you have any idea how many times I heard that? I can only answer, they are already deadly bored with anything you present. So it can only be better. I never said replace your logos by pathos. I always said add pathos to your logos. P stands for passion. And pathos, the original meaning of pathos of Aristotle means pain and passion. And passion is suffering. It's painful. Think about your own passions. Can be sometimes painful. Yeah, but how should I put this in the presentation? I don't know how to do that. Okay, there's one tip I always do. Give me one here in the group. Give me a cool hobby you have, a cool active hobby. Don't tell me I like to go to the cinema. This is not a hobby. This is consumption. Give me a real hobby, an activity, a passion you have in life. We need one hobby to do the exercise. One hobby. Boxing, dancing while with Nadine, dancing while with, now Nadine does all these dance parties with Zoom. That's so weird. Puzzles. That's a good passion right now to have, Alba. Do you have a lot of puzzles at home? Redo them. Boxing would work. Let's take boxing because I've never had it. Laszlo, you're now my sparring partner. So what I do to put more passion into any given speech is, imagine this is one side and this is the other side. And here is the river. And here, that's a weird demonstration, I have to say. So here is the bridge. So there's the river, there's one piece of the land, there's the other piece of the land, and there's the bridge. And what I do to put more passion into literally any presentation is I build passion bridges. And what a passion bridge is, it is a bridge of analogy. A passion bridge is a bridge of analogy. I build an analogy. I draw an analogy between two different things. Between your hobby, passion, which Laszlo is boxing, and your job, your profession. Laszlo, can you tell me what is your current profession? Are you a speaker already? But okay, so what I do is, it's a 3-step process I do on a sheet of paper. It goes super fast. In the center, I put down my passion. In your case, Laszlo, it is boxing. Then in a second step, I look for anything I need. Web design, Laszlo, thank you. Anything that boxing needs. What do I need? John, great web design. That was an amplification, a rhetorical device. Web design, great web design. Supremely great web design is another amplification. So here we are. What do you need, Laszlo, to box? What do you need to box? Give me something you need to box. This is a bit slow now. I will do. You need the ring, right? I will help you. You probably need the ring. You need a referee. You need gloves. Give me more. Well, you need an opponent. You need rules. You need training. Maybe you need to meditate. Persistence, stamina, power, accuracy. Exactly. These are the characteristics for you as a person, but you need a ring. I mean the physical stuff you need. When you put your sailing, you need a boat. You need water. You need wind. You need a crew. These things I'm looking for, Laszlo. So we have here a ring. We have meditation maybe. Do you meditate sometimes? would be cool. We need a referee for a fight. You need gloves. This is an example now. We need an opponent to box. And of course, you need rules and for sure training, power, persistence, stamina, all in the training. What I do now in the third of 3 steps to build this passion bridge, a bridge of analogy between Laszlo's hobby, passion, boxing, and web design, his profession. I go into your web design with the 3rd layer. Now tell me, Laszlo, what is the ring in your job? Think in analogy. In rhetoric, the public speaking game, one of the content fields we have, draw analogies. Think in analogy. What is your ring? In your job as web designer. This is where you fight. Okay, the ring is the office. You see, what are your gloves? The internet are your gloves. You punch, okay. Who's your opponent? And this is the last thing we do because you get the concept. It goes very fast. Whitewater kayaking, Dr. Brazy, that is a good one. Well, we can cut here. Think about it, Laszlo. What you do for anything, cooking, you put knives, stove, kitchen, wine while you cook, gas, candlelight dinner. You put the ingredients. You can put ingredients more, fish, vegetables, salad, meat, herbs, and you can outage, nice. And then you go into the 3rd layer and you draw this bridge, these analogies between the referee and web design, between the ring and web design, between the meditation and web design, opponent web design. And I swear, I've done it so many times, in less than 5 minutes, 4 minutes, you have an incredible fast way to have a super grid of analogies. And this is the bridge of analogies. So next time I recommend it to you. I suggest, Laszlo, that next time you work on a business presentation to present your services, have at least one slide which shows an extremely cool boxing photo. Maybe it's a bit cliche, but Muhammad Ali when he's on top, and the guy is it Foreman? He's down there. Use some boxing analogy in your presentation. And then you say, yeah, but what I do is not really web design. What we do for you is we're boxers. We are your Rocky. Why? And then comes the moment of glory when you build this bridge of analogy. It's sticky as glue. It is memorable. It is emotional. It is pathos. It is passion. Even when you present your metrics of the new web, the SEO search engine optimization metrics. This is it. This is what you can do. The rule is there are no rules, and you can do anything with creativity, vitamin C, as I learned today. And the last 2, fast now, enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. Come on. Have you seen Benjamin Zender? The TED Talk, Benjamin Zender? The Boston Philharmonic's conductor? Have you seen him? That is enthusiasm. I mean, Ralph W. Emerson, the great American writer, poet, 19th century, said, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. Come on, how can you light the fire in your audience without enthusiasm? And I don't remember Martin Luther King having said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. No. He said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And then they always tell me, yeah, but he was a preacher, Flo. And then I always say, then preach. I know we're not Martin Luther King Jr. Been there last April with Rose, Special Rose, and Alvaro, my 13-year-old. It's amazing. This amazing guy. A guy who couldn't talk straight at the age of 5. Changed the world. 63. We are not Martin Luther King Jr., but nobody of you can tell me. And this is in my trainings, I'm getting very emotional always because I say that, I tell them, nobody can tell me that you cannot be like Martin Luther King Jr. I'm not like this stupid stop sign. Throw it away. Be enthusiastic. If you sell your idea, more energy, more enthusiasm. Ralph W. Emerson, great quote. Shiny eyes, exactly, John Zimmer, shiny eyes. Boston Philharmonics. Benjamin Zander, all great things need enthusiasm. And it's in your eyes, and it's everything you are, offline or online. And the last one, the last step, 15 steps we are at the end of the road. But without this, watch the chapter, I think it was number 23. My dad, I'm not going to repeat the same thing, but my dad was a creator of smiles on other people's faces. When my dad entered a restaurant and he didn't know the people, he would be 3 minutes later standing in the kitchen with a stranger who was the chef and talked about the ingredients of the sauce. And I always had I felt so much embarrassment. In Spanish, vergüenza ajena. He was a smiler, and he put his smile on other people's faces. And this is what you are as a communicator, as a charismatic communicator. Without your smile, you're nothing. And you know in the other sessions, triangle of coherence, when you talk about serious things, there is no smile. When you talk about sad things, there is no smile. But when it's positive content, you smile like my dad. And when you do all these 15 steps, when you smile like my dad, when you're enthusiastic like Martin Luther King Jr., when you build passion bridges between boxing and web design of Laszlo, when you use humorous patterns, check out the session. It's all pattern. There is no accident when people laugh. When you use vocal variety, like when you use your voice like in real life, when you use your body language with metaphorical, illustrative, symbolic, signaling gestures, you look into the camera or into their eyes and connect with human beings. And when you use visual aids props, like a clarinet can even make sounds, when you tell your own personal stories that are not on Wikipedia yet, and when you tell quotes for more ethos, sometimes throw in your mom, you can, Alba, use your grandmother, amazing. And when you use rhetorical devices, those colorful spots in the gray mass of content to be more memorable and to reflect more on your content, when you use structure that is simple. We always say, John and I, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Da Vinci, make it simple. Introduction, 3 pillars, roof, drain pipe, transitions. This is persuasion and inspiration. It needs structure. And when you have a first sentence that everybody knows, here I have to listen. And when you are emotionally transparent, naked with clothes, to connect emotionally with human beings, and you have self-confidence to make it all happen. My friends, 10,938 speeches. When you apply these 15 steps, what will automatically happen is you will be a charismatic communicator. And this is it. It's weird. It's 25 times. That's all I can say. That's all I can say about my passion. I wish you all the best on stage, online and offline. And in the end, the only thing I can say after 25 sessions is how I feel. And I feel a bit like Ryan O'Neal. Is it Ryan O'Neal on this ice field in New York in the Central Park when he did da 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 when the music came? But as we all know, the end of the journey is the beginning of a new journey. I'm sure we will meet again, online, offline, and I wish you all the best for all the future. It's been amazing being with you. Hasta la vista.